Hi, today we're going to try to do a short video on how to set up Audacity to use to make SpectroTAB. So what you see is Audacity is opened up in my computer and it's all set up to record. What I'm going to do is just record a short clip and then show you how I work with it. Okay, just stop it there. All right, so I'm just gonna trim it up a little bit. All right, so this is just the signal that you see as you're playing along. What we want to do is look at this as a spectrogram. So what we're going to do is come over here and then look at the drop-down menu and we'll select spectrogram. Okay, so here is what it would look like with the default settings. This is what's called a spectrogram, and it basically takes whatever you're playing and does what's called a fast Fourier transform, which basically looks at all of the harmonics. So each one of these lines is a harmonic of the note being played, and they're evenly spaced in frequency. All right, so what we're going to do is first expand this a little bit. And we've got way more information that we need, and we only really want the bottom piece here. So let's just go to spectrogram settings, and this is the default settings. And the first thing I'm going to do is I don't need to see all of this stuff up here, so I'm going to chop this off at 1K or 1000 hertz. So default's 8000 hertz, so let's change that to 1000. Preview here, and there we go. All right, so this looks kind of ugly. We're going to clean that up a bit here. And the way we're going to clean that up is we're going to change these gain settings. Now you can just kind of mess around with things. The range here and the gain, it has to do with how much we're zooming in on the intensity of these things. And after messing around a little bit, I found that, you know, like if I bring this down to 60, whoops. And you can see I'm starting to get above a bunch of noise here, and I can change the gain. Say I change that to 10. And look at it. We're seeing something a little bit better. All right. So another thing that we can do is these are really blocky. It's kind of hard to see what's going on. What we really want to do is kind of smooth out what we're seeing. And what I'm going to do that is, first of all, I'm going to change over to grayscale, because these colors show the intensity of the signal, and what we're really interested in is just capturing the top, the peak of each one of those, and put the rest of it in the background. Grayscale will help us do that a little bit, and you can already see that we're starting to see something a little bit better. All right, now the next thing is to look at the window size. The window size is a signal processing thing. It determines how much resolution we're going to get. I usually bump this up a little bit. So let me go up to 4096. These are all multiples of 2, by the way. And you can see already that, there we go. We've basically narrowed down on what we're looking at. The window type, these are other signal processing settings. I typically like to use Gaussian, and I use the lower Gaussian here. Gaussian 2.5. And you could just mess around with these different settings, right? That didn't change much for this particular one, but that's the kind of thing that I use. And if I want to clean this up a little bit more, you know, I can try 50 for the range. Look at that, and that cleans it up a little bit, so we're got above more of that noise. And the idea is that you want to just play around with these numbers to see what looks good. The key is to go grayscale and go to a bigger window size here. And the last setting that I want to look at is the scale. It says linear, and that's going to tell us that we're looking at a linear scale going up the frequencies here. But if we want to do it more perceptually uniform, we can do like the Mala, the Barkhausen. So I usually go with Barkhausen, and that lines things up a little bit more so that they're perceptually even. Your choice, it doesn't really matter. But anyways, there it is. Okay, now what we want to do is grab this and put it into another tool, a graphics tool that we can manipulate and put lines on it and so on. So all I'll do is just do a screenshot on a Windows machine that is Windows Shift S. And what I'm going to do is just select the area that I want. And there we go. And now what I want to do is copy this into PowerPoint or any other kind of graphics tool that you want to use. Just paste it in there, and there you go. Now what I'm going to do is make it a little bit bigger. I can manipulate the size and so on. I'm going to leave some room on the left side for some fingered scales or what have you. So these are basically some lines that I put in there. This line here comes from just from built into PowerPoint, and I'm going to put the first one there, and then I'll go ahead and duplicate that, and I'm going to duplicate a few more lines to make sure I got one for each of the notes that I played. So let's move this one up here, move that one to there, and it looks like we need one more, so there we go. And that puts it all in perspective there. So if I wanted to do this from scratch, so this is basically insert the line and then adjust the line how I want it and put it in there. All right, so what I want to do next is to put in like the note names, and in this case the scale degrees. So here are the scale degrees, and I'm playing the root or the first note, the fourth, fifth, sixth, and the eighth with the octave note. Basically a diatonic scale that I'm looking at here. It's a diatonic flute. And here's the finger diagrams for that particular flute. Again, it's a diatonic flute, so it's a little different than the popular fingering. One thing I'll mention about the finger diagrams is use an equally spaced font like Courier. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching.